Welcome to DebtCircle Key Roundups. I am Vijay Indra.
And I am Leela.
PineGap, a Bengaluru-based AI equity research platform, raised 8 million US dollars in Series A funding, led by Stellaris Venture Partners. They've deployed over 1,000 AI agents for more than 100 institutional clients.
This funding aligns with the rising use of generative AI in finance. PineGap's tailored AI agents reduce analysts' routine workload, helping with earnings previews and news summaries for hedge funds and registered investment advisors.
Let's move on to our next article. The Indian rupee weakened by 8 paise to 95.25 against the US dollar, pressured by a stronger dollar and Brent crude at 84.31 US dollars per barrel. The RBI's forex reserves rose by 10.5 billion US dollars to 692.86 billion US dollars, cushioning the fall.
Foreign institutional investors bought shares worth 480 crores rupees recently. Market expectations suggest the rupee will trade between 95.20 and 95.30, with exporters selling near 95.40.
Now, let's discuss another important development. SEBI plans to overhaul the securities lending and borrowing framework, unchanged since 2008, to improve price discovery. It's also piloting tokenization of corporate bonds using distributed ledger technology.
That revamp should enhance liquidity and align Indian markets closer to global standards. Blockchain-based tokenization could reduce settlement times and improve traceability and compliance.
Moving to our next story. Asset reconstruction companies purchased 26,304 crore rupees of bad loans in the first quarter of fiscal year 25, a 56% jump from 16,876 crore rupees a year earlier.
That's despite the banking system's gross NPA ratio dropping from 2.8% to 1.8%. Total stress loans, including write-offs, still stand at 12,20,000 crore rupees, with ARCs shifting toward more cash payments.
Moving to our next story, Steel Exchange India Limited paid rupees 1 crore 53 lakhs 51,042 in interest on its secured NCDs, totaling rupees 382.8 crores, right on August 7th, 2026.
That punctual payment reflects strong financial discipline. Despite the stock being down nearly 15% over 1 month, steady NCD payments reassure bondholders and credit analysts.
Let's move on to our next article. The RBI's 2022 rule requires funds sent abroad under the liberalized remittance scheme to be deployed within 180 days. This has led offshore banks to scale back international credit cards for Indian residents, especially minors, who can't consent to the required investments.
Let's look at another key development. NSE Clearing Limited fined Share India Securities 1 lakh rupees plus 18,000 rupees in GST for breaching the market-wide position limit, promptly disclosed the next day.
It's a minor cost relative to the company's operations, with stock movements showing mixed but overall positive long-term trends. This isolated incident is unlikely to affect their market standing.
Moving to our next story, the State Bank of India posted a net profit of 211.21 billion rupees in the first quarter, up 10.2% year-on-year, driven by 18.63% loan growth. Gross NPAs dropped to 1.47%, though slippages rose to 70.46 billion rupees.
SBI's net interest margin improved by 7 basis points to 3%, unlike peers HDFC Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank. It also mobilized 6 billion US dollars in subsidized foreign currency deposits, aiming for 10 billion.
Let's move on to our next article. Muthoot Microfinance and Satin Creditcare raised growth targets to 20 and 25% respectively after banks cut microfinance lending by around 12% in the first quarter.
Well-capitalized NBFC MFIs are filling the funding gap left by private and small finance banks and expect stronger growth in the second half as business picks up seasonally.
Now let's discuss another important development. Indian government bonds gained for the first time in 5 weeks. The 6.94% bond maturing in 2036 closed at a yield of 6.7651%, down from 6.7666%.
That dovish RBI stance with no repo rate change reassures markets, especially with oil dropping to around $82 per barrel on US. Iran talks optimism. Investors now expect limited RBI tightening this fiscal year.
Here's another significant update. ICICI Bank and Axis Bank are each raising 300 million US dollars through dollar bonds. ICICI's carry a coupon of 5.3520% for 5 years, while Axis is reissuing bonds at 5.3480%, maturing in June 2031.
Both banks are taking advantage of the RBI's lower cost hedging at 1.5% per annum following ICICI's earlier $1 billion issuance at 5.46%.
Here's another significant update. Nielsen is acquiring Double Verify for $2,150 million in an all-cash deal, paying $13.60 per share, a 30% premium over the recent average price.
This strengthens Nielsen's media intelligence platform, targeting combined revenue of over $4 billion. The deal is expected to close in the first quarter of 2027, financed by debt and equity.
Let's move on to our next article. The Lok Sabha passed a bill allowing banks and payment providers to charge fees on UPI transactions, removing the ban under the 2007 law. It also extends tax exemptions on electronics manufacturing to financial year 2040 to 41.
Charges will apply to merchants, not end users, with the National Payments Corporation of India deciding final rates. The manufacturing incentives aim to strengthen India's domestic supply chain.
Now let's discuss another important development. Punjab National Bank is launching wealth management services by the third quarter of 2026, deploying around 3,000 customer relationship managers. Its credit card base grew from 660,000 to nearly 1 million, targeting 1.5 million by year-end via the premium Luxura Metal Card.